Campaign.
All right. Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
Now remember the outer circle. You guys just, no talking. All right. Anybody want to start? Go right ahead. You don't even need to raise your hand. Go ahead.
In our class notes, euthanasia is defined as an action or a mission which itself or by any intention causes death in order of suffering. And this is in the second video, but in the third video, there's a 24-year-old girl has depression, wants to be euthanized. So I just want to know what you think about that.
Well, I have a question. So is euthanasia for never okay?
Euthanasia is never okay because exactly what we're being taught, the only person, in our notes, it says it's an action or a mission that causes death, and the one causing death is the person, when in reality, God is the only one who has the power to take someone's life, because in the video, the one we just watched, the guy who has ALS, he says that doctors are becoming killers, which means that they're an accomplice in suicide, because really the only one who has the power to do that is God.
So natural death?
Yes.
So Sophia, you're saying that even if someone's in great suffering and they would like to be euthanized, it is never okay for that to happen, even if they would prefer it.
Yeah, that is correct, because in one of the videos, which one was it? It was the third video. Yeah, in the third video that was on Canvas, they said that some countries allow euthanasia if the patient is diagnosed mentally unstable, but the problem I see with that is that you can't diagnose somebody mentally unstable because that's all relative to what you think is stable and unstable. So, and also a person could be faking it just because they want to do something to themselves.
You don't think?
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you don't think they would do enough tests to realize that they're not faking it. There's actually signs of them being depressed.
Well, and another thing, if they are mentally unstable, then they're obviously not capable of making such a huge decision as that. Because unless you're in the right mental state, you can't make a decision that large.
In the first video, which is the one about when is assisted suicide okay, that's the twins, one of the questions brought up was when is it okay? The difference between refusing life-saving surgery and then just not. And then in our notes, it says what I think that man didn't understand, or he wasn't explaining well, was in our notes when we talked about proportionate care, which is reasonable hope, success versus disproportionate care. And both of those twins, they could have received help to be able to live, in each other's company for the remainder of their lives, but they chose not to get it and to take the easier way out, which that really wasn't their choice.
What was your course going into?
Yeah, how she was just depressed. She wasn't a bad she wasn't mentally ill.
Yeah. Well, a good point I heard guys say is that they didn't fully develop till 25, so they should still give her some time, and then she still doesn't feel good. Well, it's not really up to her, but we can't stop her. There's laws she can go through. Guys.
Okay, what do you guys? Okay, say she wants to get euthanized, but what do you guys think is better? If she's depressed and she does not want to live any longer, is it? Say she wants to commit suicide, and say she does that by any means that she could do that. Would that allowing her to do that by not euthanizing her? Would that be any better? Because if she doesn't want to live and they won't let her be euthanized, then how would letting her live and then possibly allowing her to commit suicide be any better?
It's not any better, but it's not any worse either, because it's the exact same thing. Having a doctor prescribe medicine but to have her kill herself is the exact same thing as her hanging herself or something, because she's still dying for a cause that she should not be doing. She should not kill herself over something that can be helped by doctors, and the doctors also shouldn't be the one
also in that situation, if the doctors offer her help and she refuses help, and then she commits suicide anyway, that makes the doctors innocent. Like the doctors won't be like accomplices to murder or killing if they offer help, she refuses it and commits suicide anyway.
I agree. Is that people who have reached that point, they, a lot of the times, when they receive, it does not work, they receive counseling and all kinds of help to talk them out of it. Some are put in like wards and hospitals until they can reach better state of mind. But by receiving euthanasia, she's not allowing herself to change. A lot of young adults are faced with like depression because life isn't what they thought it would be, but she doesn't even try to deal with it.
Anyway, she's been going through her whole life, they say, and she's been getting help, but it doesn't work. So how do you feel about that?
But what if, I don't think that's her prerogative. I don't think she's the one who decides if it's God. I think there's would still be hope for her. What if there's a new medication that's developed in the next 6 months that could have saved her from depression? We don't know because we haven't tried.
Yeah, it's not really our or anyone's choice to decide when they get to end their life. That's only by a supernatural force or God. And so when she wants to end her life, she's cutting off all means that she can get better. You can't know when you're gonna get better or when you're gonna get worse. It just happens. Yeah, kind of off of that, I wrote down, we don't decide when our life ends, just as we didn't decide when it began. So neither should someone else, like a doctor or a relative, or even like a legislator. So my question is life only valuable when it is healthy? So like is someone's life like less valuable just because they're depressed or like in a vegetable state?
I want to say something about that just because I have a personal connection because with especially the ALS video you just showed because my sister's best friend's dad died from ALS a few months ago and we knew him for many years and it was very hard watching him progress from being able to drive her to school to like slowly not even being able to breathe on his own and having a breathing tube and then having to like pump out his lungs sometimes, but he was still very happy and his quality of life mentally was just as good as it always had been before. And quality of life in our notes is an uncertain meaning and it tends to view the human in terms of utility and cognition. And his cognition, his ability to know, that's the definition we have in our notes, his ability to know was always as sharp as it ever had been, and with all the technology that he was provided, he was able to maintain a very high quality of life with his family up until the day of his death.
So what about those people that don't want, like, say that's, like, he wanted to keep going on, but what about those situations where someone has a very severe illness and doesn't want to keep moving on? Like, he did, so he obviously would never choose to euthanize himself because he wanted to keep going on, but what about the people that don't, and they're just like, I am so sick, I am in so much pain, I just want to end this now. Then, what?
Len, what do you have to say about that?
I think the issue we seem to be dancing around is whether a person has the right over their own life. It's this odd, like almost paradox where do we have the right to transgress our own rights? Like, does it, like, it's obviously consequentialism, as I would say, like, if like death is somehow like a means to an end, especially even if you deny the existence of God in the afterlife, it's even worse because it's like it doesn't really accomplish anything. Who's to say, you know, being in pain is better than not existing at all, which is kind of this odd. But I find it like, does anyone, like, what are people's views on whether or not like we have the right, like, take like the moral sense, we kind of have that nailed down. Do you have the right to end your own life, or is that, what are people's views on that idea? Because it seems to be debated for a long time.
I think from like watching those videos, very, very scary. The people who are saying they want control, they want to be in control over how they die. I don't think that's what God wants us to be in control because it's His plan and we're taking over. But like in our notes, we talk about a secular world we're afraid of dying instead of, and we prolong, either prolong our life or we end it because we're afraid, or we're not even accepting death anymore. We're insisting we be in control of how we die.
I think that euthanasia is always wrong, but does anyone disagree with that and think that it is okay?
Does anyone agree with the organ paradox that you should be given the option?
Okay.
Oregon.
Oh, like this, the
State.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, your organs.
That's okay.
Like, there's like one group for like people who had a choice to take the medicine or not to, but only some people. Do you think people should be given the right everywhere?
London has notes on that.
Well, going off of that, it's the organ paradox is people who are terminally ill will often feel a surge in well-being and hope to live longer. So that kind of proves that, like, even if you think you're on your last leg and you're gonna die, you're in so much pain, you could get better and your quality of life could improve. And by ending it, you're just cutting off all means that you might get better. And you're kind of leaving a lot of questions for your family in a way because they don't know if you could get better. And I think that would be worse. Like thinking, oh, what if they did get better if you get that?
So, Olivia, do you think the states that allow assisted suicide should say like this, what the organ paradox, like give them the option instead of them asking them?
The organ paradox?
Yeah, I think we're talking about it.
Well, actually, I had a note on that. The lady that was talking about that, she said that she said that it was available to only the people who were suffering from depression or a mental illness or a terminal illness. And then she like made a point of saying that it was only for them and not really available to anybody else, but they kept talking about people's right to choose if they want to die, which like kind of like, so they're giving people the right who have a mental illness or a terminal illness to die, and then people who like are depressed or like quadriplegic or something like that and just have little quality of life, like they're not giving them the right to die. So it's like they're giving certain people the right to die if they want to, but the wall's not open for everyone.
What really made me smile in that video was when that woman kept saying that somehow, like, killing yourself before you die isn't suicide. Like, somehow that's not, I don't understand the distinction she was trying to make there. Like, it's not killing yourself, it's just killing yourself. It's not killing yourself. It's killing yourself before.
Killing yourself before you eventually
It's
die.
dying early.
So you're not
It's-
actually killing
It's
yourself.
like dying early. So like you're just bringing that forward a little bit. You know, it's not you.
You're just moving it
but
up.
it's you.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said it wasn't euthanasia, but by our definition in our notes, it's an action or a mission which is an intention that causes death. So it clearly was euthanasia.
And it's to alleviate suffering also, and he was suffering, I guess you
Yeah.
could say, so.
But does the end justify the means?
The lady's saying they do not want to die, but they're choosing to even though they do not want to.
I'm really in this whole dialectical, that's the wrong thing.
What is making them mad if she's saying they don't want to, but they're doing it anyway? So what would make them do that?
I think it's their fear.
What influence?
Who was talking?
Ben.
It's like their fear of pain. They don't want to die, even though they're going to die anyway, and they're scared of being in pain, so they want to end their life.
So is pain worse than existence, I suppose, in their view, is what they're going off of, like rather not exist?
They would rather, I think, just end it than have to live through the pain.
No.
Is that worse than not existing?
Well, I don't know what they think. I mean,
Michael Silver, how you feel?
I think Sharon has.
Sharon McCullough, how do you feel about this?
In our notes, it says it's not necessary to kill people on the grounds of pain. And in the book, Dr. Andrew Ferguson says in Oregon, the top reason people wish to die is because of loss of autonomy. What exactly is autonomy?
You mean on the top?
Oh, sorry.
It's when like you lose all control of like being independent. You're dependent on others. Like the man in the video, he was dependent on others, but he didn't let that affect him. But the Dr. Andrew Ferguson, he was saying that like there's a difference between passion and autonomy, and a lot of times people want to end their life through euthanasia because they can no longer do what they used to do, and so they want to end their lives.
Dr. Ferguson, was also saying that that's the scary thing about this is how it's just becoming like another option.
I feel like that's like I don't want to say it's harsh, or I don't want to say it's selfish because that seems harsh, but I feel like making that decision is kind of selfish because you're not the only person that's affected. Like you're the only one who's dying, but there's so many other people that would be affected if you just decide to kill yourself. Like, how do you, I don't know how you would, if you have an illness, how would you just like make the decision that you're gonna die and then not think that it affects anybody, like the guy was saying, like he has a quality of life because he has a family and he has friends. So like, if he made the decision to die, how terrible would that be for them?
So like, if a person who wants to euthanize themselves or commit suicide or whatever, if they are doing it in avoidance of pain, but they have a family that, like, they cause them pain by ending their own, like, affecting
Yeah.
thing.
Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have pain and that sucks, but I
But,
mean,
yeah.
there's like a line.
It would cause pain to more people than just you, it's like the ratio.
Like there's just stuff that I feel like you have to deal with.
I know.
Like there's obstacles that you have to jump over.
I know I know Aristotle kind of like argues it that way because he says that like suicide isn't really a crime. Like it's a crime as much as it's a crime against yourself. It's a crime against the state. And it's like taking a tapestry and like ripping a hole in it. So like you're hurting. You're being selfish and you're like stealing yourself this
Yeah.
weird way and you're leaving everyone else high and dry. So it's easier for you.
Okay, that's good. Let's just take 30 seconds, right? So Len, you're done too, but you're close. So just take 30 seconds, see where you're at, look for stuff. Well, I didn't try to go through and tell everybody where they're at, but come up with a plan for the last 15 minutes to get some points. You guys that are done, feel free to encourage. You just don't need. You're like
You're doing well, right?
That's why I would feel good. I said this is better for you guys. All right.
What? Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll go first.
All right. Shh. Okay. Troy, start us out.
Okay, in the Oregon paradox, they say only 71 patients out of 141 took the meds, right? And the author of the study said that people who are terminally ill and have the option of ending their life often feel a surge in well-being and hope to live longer. How do you feel about that, my silver?
I feel like people don't have a right to end their lives because we say in fertility issues that children are not a right, they're not property. So you don't have a right to your own life, like you can't end it.
But Michael Silver, how you feel if you're depressed and since that's not clearly in the mind, who decides whether you get to euthanasia or not?
I don't think I should be able to decide that because I'm having some troubles. I think that I shouldn't even have the option to euthanize.
So
It's
do
bad.
you think the parents should decide?
No, I don't think anybody should decide. I think
God
from our
should decide.
notes, we say that euthanasia is always bad, so we can't allow that. We gotta stop.
Do you think assisted suicide should be banned worldwide?
Yes, it's bad.
How are you
Very bad.
doing?
Yes, it is terrible, but what about cases of involuntary suicide with the doctors giving you the euthanasia without asking?
Well, I think those doctors should be in prison. That's very, very wrong. It's a very terrible thing.
The man in the first video, how do you think he's presenting both sides equally? Or what side do you think he's leaning on?
Well, I didn't watch the first video, I watched the third.
What about the third?
Well, in the third video, I don't agree with euthanasia. I think it's wrong, no matter what the circumstance. But with a 24-year-old, well, with someone who's older who has ALS or whatever, I do understand like why they would want to do that. I do get it, even though I think it's wrong, and I wouldn't decide that. Like the 24-year-old girl, I mean, she has pretty much her whole life in front of her. You don't know what could help her in the future, and I think that it's way too early to decide.
Okay, so what about a different scenario? Instead of a young person, maybe they're much later on in their life, and say they're 75 and they have ALS, like they're in the video, and say he doesn't have many family members left that are close to him, and he wants to be euthanized. Then what do you guys think about that? Because that's a different scenario. And then they're older, they can make, like they're not as young, and they don't have the family ties that the younger people do. So what is everyone's opinion?
Do you want to say something? Okay. Well, I think we can't be dismissive of them because that leads to dullness of mind, as it says in our notes. But we must deliberate on it, but we also got to be conscious that it's always bad. So we need to do things to help them out. Like we got to have programs to help them.
If the person's old, do you think the government should fund like retirement centers for them that are not able to depend on themselves to live?
I think they should, but it can't go against disproportionate care, as it says in our notes. You have to be conscious of proportionate care.
Be honest.
What are your thoughts on involuntary euthanasia, like not letting families?
Well, I think that's very wrong, especially on the doctor's end, and I feel like the doctors should not make the choice for the person because they aren't even consulting them and they're just going off their own views and not what the person believes, and that is wrong, and the doctor should definitely be put in prison for that because he is basically committing murder. Len, what do you think about that?
I would agree wholeheartedly, and something that I personally, I think we'd like very interesting was like, so you have this idea of quality of life. That's a very vague idea. Couldn't you find a way to apply that, I don't know, to the poor, disenfranchised, guy you don't agree with? So you could very easily like turn this into this Orwellian, purge idea, or their quality of life is poor. They don't have once you start devaluing human life, it immediately starts. Very easy to slip into the mix.
Like, well, Len's saying, he's saying the quality of life can be applied to many different things, and it's kind of hard to discern. In the first video, one thing he asked was, he said, like, where's the line? Where do we draw the line in euthanasia? Like, when is it okay and when is it not okay? But if you allow it at all, it becomes this big gray area. So you either have to allow it for everyone or allow it for nobody, because then you're going to get into these issues of, well, my quality of life is bad, but I still have people that want to take care of me, and then you get like the doctors that are deciding for people. So I think that the line slips too easily if you allow there to be a line in the first place. So you either have to totally allow or totally not allow.
Yeah. What do you think in the same video? The fact that people in the UK are going to Sweden to get physician-assisted suicide, do you think that changed? Do you think that?
Okay, well, I didn't watch the second video, I watched the first and third one. But I did have a question from the first video. And it was, if you were in the position of like a doctor, if you were in the position of a doctor who was asked to assist the twins on suicide, what would you do? I don't think that that's right. I don't think that it's a doctor's decision. I don't even think that it'd be like the twins' decision. Well, I mean, it's like we were saying.
I actually have a question. In our notes, it says that euthanasia can be voluntary, involuntary, active, or passive. What does it mean when it says like active or passive? Active is like when the person is alive, physically can say, yes, I want euthanasia. But passive is like when they're not conscious and so they can't make the decision themselves.
In our notes, it says that it is a general obligation to preserve human life, but it also says in our notes that we do not need to take overzealous or heroic measures to delay the inevitable.
I believe Jake had something to say.
Yeah, I've got a question for everyone, like, if there is a difference, like, what is the difference between euthanasia and suicide? If there is a difference.
I think suicide can be through like different means and like routes, where I think euthanasia is more like medical, intentional, deliberate, like it's cleaner, I guess. Like you wouldn't call like slitting your wrists or hanging yourself euthanasia. Euthanasia is like with pills or an injection. And I know that's like very basic, I guess, but I would say that that's the difference. Is like euthanasia is with a purpose using specific means, whereas suicide is more sort of homegrown.
I think that euthanasia and suicide are like the same thing. I think the only difference is euthanasia that people think they have an excuse for getting it.
So when you're generalizing, are you saying that euthanasia and suicide are the same thing?
Yes.
Troy, do you think that, oh, okay, Troy, you think there's more sin involved in euthanasia because the doctors are the ones helping you to, do you think it's wrong on the doctor's behalf to help you? If they're just doing their job?
Yeah, because when you're sinning and the doctor's sinning, so two people sinning instead of one person, I mean. And I got another question. In the second video, Dr. Davis stated, what was the job of a physician? I don't remember.
I think that was to preserve life.
Preserve life.
Going back to quality of life, I don't think we can determine that, because if we go into the realm of proof, we can say that it's like we're making a mere opinion, so it's absolutely subjective, so we can't make a justified true belief. So we can never determine the quality of life. It's something that's not under our realm of decision making.
So, Michael Silver, what are the ethical concerns with euthanasia and depression?
Wait, ask someone else, Mike's good.
Okay. Yeah, ask Megan. Megan, what are the ethical concerns with euthanasia and depression?
I have a question actually. Does involuntary euthanasia, does capital punishment fit in that area?
Not really, because you couldn't even call that involuntary euthanasia unless they were doing it because they thought they were feeble and couldn't help themselves, which we don't do.
So where does that fit in then?
That would be more of an issue with the state's right to protect citizens. Even I'm against it, but that's where it falls under, so. But I'll count it for you, you're good now.
Thanks.
Back to what you were saying before, Aaron, with how you were saying euthanasia and suicide are the same. Then what's the difference between, you're saying euthanasia and suicide are basically the same thing, so what's the difference between having a doctor help you and going through all the legal process of it instead of just leaving out the doctor and the state and doing it yourself?
I mean, I think that I guess you're still killing yourself both ways, but I guess the difference, what you're saying, is that you're having someone else like kill you for you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like why do you think that if somebody is determined to die, why do you think they would go to all the trouble of fighting the state and the law and going to doctors instead of just doing it themselves?
Maybe because it's less painful. I mean, I'm not really sure.
Everyone's told them, right?
Is that what?
because they want to get their right to do it.
You can get like ballot.
They want to do it
papers.
legal.
I have a response to Jerry's question. He asked, what does Dr. Davis state as the job of the physician? And she says that as a doctor, her job is to listen to what her patients want, and what that may be is, it might not be safe treatment.
What a job of physician is, it's to help the person to the best of their abilities, and euthanasia isn't really helping their patient to the best of their abilities, it's just ending their life. They can help them by prescribing a new medicine that they can find help them with,
Nice.
something like that. But by killing them, they're just cutting off their life, and they're not being life takers like they're supposed to be.
But how come euthanasia is not okay in all countries? Some people think it's already.
I just have a question about that. Is that in the video that in some countries it's like not legal, but it's not illegal? Like, did I understand that wrong, or like how does that work? How can it not be legal but it's not illegal?
Go ahead.
You might like need approval.
It's kind of like the vacuum law, like, there's only certain vacuum bills in certain states. Elsewhere, like, there's no law on it, like, it's only, it's not brought up.
Part of it is to, we'll stop here, I think maybe one of the issues is in some countries, the doctor can't actively give it, but he can allow it. Okay, you guys did good, I really appreciate how you encouraged. Ryan, would you mind shutting off the video, it's hitting on my computer screen? Yeah, just hit the stop. Good job, guys, that was a very good job. Guys, the observer sheets, put them up here. Put your exercise sheets on my bench.